This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another special episode of Viterbi Voices, the podcast. As usual, I am your host. My name is Paul Ledesma, or I'm one of your hosts, excuse me. I'm messing up the intro already. My name is Paul Ledesma, Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And hello, everybody. I am the other co-host. My name is Maya Newinchwander, a current junior studying Industrial and Systems Engineering here at Viterbi.
So it's obvious that I'm only capable of doing one intro recording per day, because when we do two a day for all of our listeners, this is the second one we're recording in the same day. And I obviously can't introduce myself twice. I'm an idiot. So I'm sorry.
No. It's early. It's relatively early.
But it's not. I've been working for like 2 hours now. Like I have no excuse. And I think my brain is just shutting down. Anyway, let's get to the point. This is a really cool special episode of our podcast. What do we have today, Maya?
Yes, so this is a recording of the live chat for the Black students in engineering. So it's a panel of, they're actually all VSAs, I believe, but a bunch of Viterbi student ambassadors who are Black students in engineering, and they talk about their experiences, different things they're involved in. Just a really fun conversation. And they're also answering questions that are given to them live. So this is a recording of a live chat. So a lot of these questions are things that prospective students ask them and that they answer.
Absolutely. So if you missed the opportunity to watch or be part of this live chat where you can engage and ask questions, then this is a great place to listen to it. Or if you missed it, it is, I think, on YouTube as well, on the Viterbi Student YouTube account, which is youtube.com/Viterbi Student. But if you just rather listen to it, if you like the soothing sounds of voices, then enjoy this episode to talk all about Black students and their lives in the Viterbi School of Engineering. And I don't think there's anything more to say. Let's get into it and have a great conversation.
Welcome to the Black Students in Engineering live chat for the Viterbi School of Engineering. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. This live chat is put on for you for the benefit of you guys, brought to you by us real life engineering students who many of us weren't in your shoes not that long ago. So we definitely know what it's like to be a Black student, to be applying to college and just looking for answers to some of the questions you have. Before I move on, I do want to thank the panelists for taking times out of their Sunday to join us. As I mentioned a little earlier, midterm season is coming up. I know I have one on Wednesday, and I'm sure that all these amazing people still have midterms coming up themselves. So I want to thank them for taking out the time to, answer these questions and talk to you guys for a little bit. We'll go ahead and get started by taking a look at our agenda for this evening. First and foremost, we're going to meet the panelists and get to know a little bit about them, as they're the ones who are going to be answering your questions this evening. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the meat of our chat this evening, which is the Q&A section, where you guys get to ask us live questions and just get our honest opinions about USC, Viterbi, engineering, the Black experience, all of it. Everything's pretty much on the table. After that takes up the bulk of our time this evening, we'll then give you guys a chance to learn a little more about studying engineering from Black Viterbi students, some resources that we have on campus that are integral to our experience, as well as how to stay connected with the Viterbi admissions office, as well as us Viterbi students and the content we produce. Now I'll go ahead and get into some intros. So my name is Cameron. I'll be the host for the chat this evening. I am a senior studying computer science and business administration, and I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. On campus, I'm involved with USC's National Society of Black Engineers, also known as NSBE, where I'm the current chapter senator for this year. Additionally, I'm the vice president for the Alpha Delta chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and I'm also the vice president for USC's chapter of the National Panhellenic Council, which oversees all of the 8 of the 9 Divine 9 organizations for Black students here at USC's campus. Additionally, I'm a member of our Global Investing Society through the Marshall School of Business, and I'm a freshman academy coach, which essentially is like a teaching assistant / mentor for Viterbi's Engineering Freshman Academy that all students take in the fall.
Hello, everyone. I'm Victoria. I'm a junior studying mechanical engineering, and I'm from Inglewood, California. On campus, I'm involved in the National Society of Black Engineers. I'm a member of USC's chapter, and then I'm also involved on the regional level. I'm also part of Viterbi Makers, which is a team-based electronics club on campus, and I conduct undergraduate research with the Haptics, Robotics, and Virtual Interaction Lab.
Hey everyone, my name is Jevon. I'm a junior from Mount Laurel, New Jersey, studying computer science and business administration. This picture here is probably from when I was in your seat applying to schools, but on campus, my involvements are through the National Society of Black Engineers. I'm serving as the president for this year, BSA or Black Student Assembly, and then I'm a consultant through the Business Technology Group.
Hey everyone, I'm Kaleigh. I'm from Bakersfield, California, and I'm a sophomore studying astronautical engineering. Some of my involvements here on campus include USC's Rocket Propulsion Lab. I do research at CERC, which is the Space Engineering Research Center, and I work on CubeSats. And I am also part of NESB.
And then, hi everyone, my name is Taylor. I'm from Gainesville, Florida. I'm a sophomore studying computer science, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Awesome. So thank you to our lovely panelists and moderator for introducing themselves, getting a chance to you guys to know them a little bit. So now comes the meat of tonight's conversation, which is the Q&A portion. So everyone, if you guys go down to that bottom taskbar on Zoom, you'll see the Q&A feature, and that's where you guys can input your questions. So anything you guys have or want to know from us about our experience, this is the time to do it. So please throw all your questions in there, and we'll just get them as the night rolls on and get to answering some of those questions. So yeah, while that gets started, I'm going to just kind of start us off with just, interesting question for us. It seems like we do have a some little bit variety of majors. So I just want to get started with you guys and understanding, why did you decide on your major and why did you pick it? What made you think that it was the right fit for you?
I can get started on this one. For me, I always knew I wanted to do something in engineering or like science related, like all throughout high school, because I just was interested in math and science. So after going to a couple of engineering summer camps throughout high school, I got it down to either civil or aerospace, which are very different. I don't know why I was interested in those two, but I decided that I wanted to go space because I wanted to, one, do research, and two, I didn't want to be bored. And so I feel like space isn't boring and it's very undiscovered. So I knew that I would be able to constantly be learning new things and the field would be evolving while I was in it.
Yeah, for me, I definitely did not know until very late what major I wanted to apply to. I was between mechanical and electrical engineering and kind of biomedical, but I really hated biology. So I had to let that go. But I was between mechanical and electrical mainly. And I thought about things in engineering that I was interested in, whether it was cars, roller coasters, phones. And when I looked into kind of what engineers work on in those devices and what they work on, I found that I was really interested in the mechanical aspects of them, like structural analysis, etc. I love forces. I loved forces in high school. So I decided to go with mechanical. And then another thing that really helped me was I was able to look at the course plan for each of the majors and check out all the courses I'd be taking. And I kind of decided based on that, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do electrical. So that's how I decided.
I guess for myself, I'm fairly indecisive. So as I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to study, I saw this option of computer science and business. And, part of the reason why I chose this major was because of the fact that it was a little outside of engineering, but I'll stick to the more engineering piece of this answer. Being that computer science, I saw had a lot of opportunity. You could go in software engineering and do that kind of hard code. You're doing CS. Or you can apply the technical experience that you have from a CS degree in a bunch of other places. So I liked having those options and the fact that I wasn't locking myself into too much early on. But on top of that, just gathered some interest through high school courses and other summer programs in computer science and stuck with it.
Awesome. Yeah. For me, I had an interesting thing. I started off as mechanical engineering and then I ended up switching my major in the middle of a global pandemic. Not sure if I'd recommend that. I took my first computer science class and I ended up liking it. And I kind of always knew I wanted to do something business related. But But something I guess like I kind of been realized in hindsight is that, I really enjoyed like coding and computer science and the business aspect of it, but I also did enjoy like optimization, like making things efficient. And I really feel like it was kind of a toss up for me between computer science and business and industrial and systems engineering with like the system track, which focused on a lot more programming. Cause I think like in a lot of ways, they're like basically very similar majors. Just because they're related to, like, you do have some programming and some computer science aspects in both, and there's also a good amount of economics, whereas like I take economics in like the business school, there's like engineering economics where all of your problems are like focused on like manufacturing or like cost things and whatnot. So it's definitely interesting there. And I wasn't, it kind of was a toss up, but in the end I ended up picking computer science, and I've enjoyed it a decent amount. I'd say so. I mean, Jevon feels like, you enjoyed it, a good amount, right? Absolutely, yeah. As another quick note about the live chat before we continue, the Q&A section within the live chats, there's a feature called upvoting. So in this case, if you see a question that you really think is a good question, you like to get it answered, push it up to the top so we can see it better. Make sure to click that upvote button. It allows us to see the questions up top. And so maybe if there's a question that has like 10 plus upvotes, you're like, oh, we should answer that right away. So make sure to do that. We're going to try to get to all the questions, but we want to make sure the questions everyone are kind of agreeing on that are really important get bubbled up to the top. So again, just if you want to upvote them, make sure to just click the Q&A box and send them up there. So kind of going away for, towards majors and like kind of towards like the experience on campus, some people wanted to know like what your freshman experience was like. So, what was your freshman experience like at USC? And you can even also expand on this into what was the freshman experience like for Black students at USC?
Kaleigh, this one's on you because we did not have.
Yeah, I can't.
So last year was my freshman year. And it was interesting because it was coming back from COVID. So it was still in person and everything, but like very limited in the amount of things that we could do. We had like tests every week and there was all this stuff. But my freshman experience was really good because there were so many resources. I got to take like my freshman academy, like engineering class, which I know Cameron is like one of like the mentors for that, like one of the coaches, which was really great because I got to meet a lot of students in Viterbi, just like taking that class every week. And then I also got to do my intro class my first semester. So I got to do my intro to astronautical engineering class, which is really cool that you get to like sort of be immersed in your major, like right off the bat. So you can like know pretty early on if it's something that you would actually be interested in. Before you get like too far and then you realize that you don't like it anymore. And then like socially and like within clubs and everything, I was able to like meet so many different like Black students here, just like at like the Center for Black Students, like hanging out in there, doing my homework there because I would go there a lot during lunch and just like do work and to like, meet new people. It was, I guess it is a little bit of a culture shock, sort of, kind of, not really, like being in class and you being like the only Black student in there. But I was still able to find like a couple of Black friends in engineering and like do work together, which was really nice. I know there's like even less Black students in my major specifically. So being able to find students even outside of my major, like within mechanical, that we still have similar classes, but not all the same, was really, really helpful. So I think it was a really excellent experience overall.
For sure. And actually, like, I'm going to expand this question just because my freshman experience was a long time ago. I'm a bit of an old man. So talk about your experience first coming to USC, like, or first getting to the campus. Was there any culture shock? Kaleigh, you mentioned culture shock about it. So this gives a chance for, the COVID online freshman to also talk about, that experience, because coming to campus for the first time, regardless of if you're a freshman or a sophomore, certainly is an experience. So just talk about that. Was there a culture shock? How did you find it?
Okay. Yeah. I guess I have like sort of an interesting take on this because coming from New Jersey and the area that I was, there weren't too many Black people. So like I was kind of used to being one of the only few in my classes, which sort of stayed the same. But at the same time, like one of the culture shocks that I had was more of in the positive light. Like I've never been part of like such a tight knit Black community where this is again across like more than just engineering, but across the entire school. So many people are going to BSA meetings. We have a strong NSBE community. There's events that the Black community is throwing all the time that I had never really gotten the chance to be a part of up until coming to campus. So I think depending on where you're coming from, it's going to be different. But the difference that I saw was one that was more welcoming than I guess I thought it could have been, and was excited to have a community like that.
Yeah, like going off what Jevon said, like I'm from Bakersfield, but I'm from a part Bakersfield that's like there's a less Black, like there's not a very large like Black population. So like, I mean, it's a relatively small town. So I did have like a lot of Black friends, but not specifically in my classes. So like having a community, and I also took advanced classes. So there was like even less in my AP classes. So coming to a community where there's like a lot of like really like ambitious and intelligent African-American students that like you can surround yourself with by going to events like NSBE. Like I had never seen that many Black people interested in engineering in one room. So that was also a very positive culture shock for me.
Yeah, for me, I'm from Inglewood, which if you don't know is like 6 miles away, 6 miles south of USC. So I definitely like been in the area, known the campus before. But one thing that I did want to plug and add to this question is VSI, which is Viterbi Summer Institute, which is a program that the Center for Engineering Diversity runs every summer. It's basically for incoming freshmen. You get a chance to meet other underrepresented minorities in engineering and in your major. You get to do research, and then you also like take like a math and coding class. I really enjoyed that experience. Mine was online, but I hear it's really good in person. Like they be going to field trips and stuff. I was like, you guys are having fun. But yeah, that was a great experience, a great time. I met a lot of people in my major and a lot of the friends I have now during that program. So it was great.
Yeah, and I can kind of say for me, I was also part of the Viterbi Summer Institute. Mine was summer 2019. So again, a very long time ago, but they're pretty much the same thing. You get a chance to stay in a USC dorm. So I stayed in like USC's Bermkrant, the 8 floors of open doors, if that's still what they're calling it now. And okay, see, I said I don't feel that old. They're not, that's correct. But yeah, I got a chance to stay there, and it was with both Black and Latinx and like Native American, other like historically minoritized individuals and students. So that was a really good experience for me, just because I was able to meet other students and really get a chance to kind of adjust to like both being at USC, but not quite all the way just plopped in the environment, because it was still a lot of students from variety of backgrounds. Like for hindsight, I went to a high school from the south side of Chicago where it was predominantly Black students going to high school. So this very much felt like, a home, like away from home sort of in that sense. So it made the transition a lot easier there. Now there's something I wanted to also bring up. There's a question in the chat from Constance. It's about the Somerville residential floor. So none of us have lived in the Somerville residential floor, but I've done a lot of work with the students there, and like I know a lot of people there. So I did kind of just want to take a second to talk about it. So for those of you who don't know, Somerville residential floor is a first and really a second year program where Black students can essentially select to live in this dorm community. So it's moved dorms since the old dorm there. It doesn't exist anymore, but essentially Somerville is more of an idea than a place anyway. It's a floor on one of the freshman dorms that's just, for Black students. They have a Black RA, they have, a variety of Black suite mates and roommates there, and they plan a variety of Somerville events. And I think that a lot of people who I've talked to on Somerville, they say it provides a really good transition just because they know that like we go to a PWI, you're surrounded by a variety of students from backgrounds, many of which aren't Black. And Somerville really kind of provides that space where you come home and you have, built-in students and built-in friends where you guys are all the same. You guys kind of understand each other. There's no like, you don't have to explain certain things. Like I know when I go to sleep and you have a satin pillowcase, you don't have to explain to someone, why do you have a satin pillowcase? Like people just get it. It's like, yeah, I certainly get one. I have one too. And so that's a really, a really good community that a lot of people have found, really good friends in there. And it just kind of helps them get that sort of like certain, standard like friendship built right there. So it's definitely a great resource. And I, by no means, like if you're not in this floor, that doesn't mean you're not ingrained into the Black community. I know a lot of us weren't, and we're still, go to the Black Student Assembly and have plenty of friends within the community, but it's just another way to stay involved and, get, kind of acquainted with that sort of experience there. And there also is a second year program too. So if you want to, there's a second year Somerville students. So say you like the people you live with, you want to live with them again, you can go to that second year again. So people find that community is really great. The RAs tend to be like really lifelong mentors there as well. So it's definitely a good resource that they have. And we're actually lucky to have a program like that at USC. So even though we didn't participate in it, definitely it's a cool program. So kind of speaking in that vein, I wanted to ask just, about like in your classroom support, coming from diverse backgrounds, like we obviously have a little bit of a different experience. So can you guys talk about some of the resources that you guys have, found in order to help you guys with, your engineering studies at USC? And also kind of with that, do you feel like you've been offered, more or less or the same like resource and opportunities as other students?
I think I'll make the first NSBE plug of the night, assuming that there won't be any more. But through NSBE, there's this program that we put on called Study Nights, which is, exactly what the name describes. Basically, just a week or a night every week where anybody can come in, work on stuff in your classes. If there's people together or in your major or anything like that, just really providing a good space to get things done. And just having a community like NSBE in general, you're going to meet people that took that class last semester or took it 2 years ago, that are going to know how to best give you advice and how to give any tips that they can to help you best succeed. So, this is specific this is a specific answer, but once you find a community like that, there's so many people in that community that are willing to help you out.
Yeah, and I'll definitely say, NSBE is a great one. And then Viterbi also has a bunch of programs that it offers to all of its students. I know one is there's like a Viterbi learning program where you can find tutors for your classes that are Viterbi students that have taken the class before. I know I used that last year because I was struggling in this one class. And then also for like your math classes and your science classes, there's something called supplemental instruction, which is also a student who has taken the class before, and they'll run like reviews like for just homework and topics in general, but also for midterms and the final. They'll do that weekly. Those are also a great resource where you can review the material with people in your class and just ask more questions.
Yeah, like adding on to all of those resources. Also, there's like the Math Center or like the Writing Center. So like you can go to the Math Center to obviously get help on math. And then at the Writing Center, they can read any of like your essays or anything and give you advice. So there's like a lot of support. You just have to go seek it. And a lot of clubs like NSBE, even like any other clubs, will also have like different study nights, especially during midterms and finals.
Yeah, another plug. Did you guys talk about CED by chance? Mention it? No. Okay, so I will be the CED plug for the night. So CED stands for the Center for Engineering Diversity. It's a like kind of an umbrella like office within USC Viterbi that houses a variety of programs for underrepresented students in engineering, whether this is Black students, Latinx students, Native students, or even women just in general, just because they are underrepresented in engineering. It's a really great resource and a place that I found provides a lot of resources. They're the people who put on the Viterbi Summer Institute. So that program, like they provide funding for it. So it's actually really great in that case. And it's a really great study space to meet other students, provide mentorship. I know, and I think they're still doing it. Like they have tutors from Intel, the company that Intel sponsors people, and they pay people to be tutors. So one, if you like to tutor, you can get a job tutoring other people. And two, if you need free tutoring, this is literally a free resource. And it's like there's someone who says, hey, I'm really struggling in my statics class, right? Maybe there's a tutor from Intel who, the Intel sponsored tutor who, hey, I got an A in statics. I'm willing to help you. Direct tutoring right there. And it's typically pretty free and available. And I feel like that's a really cool resource because there's a variety of other tutoring resources, but this is like right here. It's in a nice building. It's like vetted because it's students who use it, through the Center for Engineering Diversity. So it's a great place to provide good resources. And also there are snacks in their room, and it's a nice study space too, which is pretty rare to come by. So that's nice. Additionally, there's another question about social clubs. So the question is from Noah. It says, what are some of the Black student social clubs? And is it easy to get to know other students of color at USC?
I would say, again, with some of the things that we already mentioned, NSBE, BSA, I'd say BSA especially is a good way to connect with people that are again, just Black students across campus. There's also clubs that'll be for every sort of interest that you have, whether it's outside of engineering or whatever it is. I know there's like Black accountants, Black in business, things like that. So if there are any other interests, there's usually a lot of professional societies. Anybody else want to tackle social clubs?
I think Jevon kind of got us talking about the Black Student Assembly. Yeah, I mean, I'd say for me, like, I think, I don't know, like there's definitely a social scene on there. Like, for example, if there's like, you know, it depends on what you're interested in. If you're interested in like a variety of like extracurricular social functions, you know, there are certainly organizations that put those on and societies that put those on, you know, and like there's some that are, you know, gendered, some that are not. Like there's like a couple of like new societies for like women, you know, there's like a variety of, there's like within like NESB, there's called like SysSTEM. I'm not sure if we're still doing that. It was like a partnership with like USC and Stanford. And it was like women like non-binary and femme identifying students like in STEM talking about their experience, providing them a space for those marginalized students. So I feel like there's like a variety of other spaces. Also, like, I feel like as far as like clubs are concerned, I mean, honestly, I just kind of go to, you know, my normal clubs, and like it's kind of that unspoken thing. It's like there's a club and there's not many people. When I see someone and we kind of look at each other and give them the nod, and kind of talk to them afterwards, even in class too. Like you just kind of make those connections just because, you know, it's like, hey, we're a minority at school. Like it's just kind of the way it is. You recognize people. And like, honestly, that's how some of my closest friends have been made, you know, like, oh, you know, in my class and, you know, hey, I sat next to you. What's your name? Oh, you're a freshman. Like, okay, I'm a senior. Like literally happened this year. Now we're in my study group. I see him around campus. Like he comes to NESB meetings. So, you know, things like that. So even though there's a lot of like formal activities like BSA, like NESB, and NESB is also social too. Don't get me wrong. We literally like just had a barbecue a couple weeks ago. So it's definitely a social club. There's like a lot of like just casual ways to meet people, and people are pretty open and friendly. Not to mention like you want to find other students, call like SHIP is a great way to do it. Also just staying posted up in CED, like you'll just meet people.
Yeah. And then another thing, I was thinking about this earlier, I forgot, I remember now, is USC has I always mess up the name, so if I mess it up, it's the Center for Black Students and Cultural Affairs. It's something like that.
The Center for Black Cultural and Student Affairs.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
And that's in our student union, and that's also a great study space. I go over there sometimes between classes. They have snacks there too, so whenever I'm hungry, I go over there and just hang out. But that's a great place. It's less structured, but there's always lots of Black students there. You can just talk, chill. They play good music there, good vibes. So
Study space is questionable because I can never get work done in there. However,
because you're always socializing and meeting new people and
like,
talking.
you got to be determined.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the energy is so great there. I've definitely also taken a really good nap there. So
yeah, they do have like, if you do need to study though, there's like, we have like three like nap, like, you know, kind of like things you can kind of lay out there and like lay down. And there's like, but there's dividers in there. So if you like put your headphones on and just concentrate, like people know not to bother you. So you can get your work done, but it's not the study space you think it is, because you're going in there, you're going to see someone, you know, or someone's going to say something, you're going to hear someone having some sort of debate. You're going to be like, wait, I have to get in on this. So but that's get in on it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they think of this.
Put my headphones on in there. So many conversations.
Most of the time, that's kind of like our like hangout spot, or like, I don't know. I feel like when I go in there, I always have a good time. Yeah. Let's see. So in addition, like to, you know, like we talked about some social things, but I kind of want to like ask, you know, a question about just the engineering experience and coming from high school to college. I know it's a lot of students are happening. Like, did you have any reservations about going into engineering school, being a Black student, being a Black woman in engineering? You know, I was just curious.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of reservations. You know, when I was applying to schools, I'd always look at like the diversity percentages just for interest. And then like I would look at them and be like, well, that's not for the engineering school, it's for the school as a whole. And it's also like, so it'd be like, oh, there's 10% Black people and I'm in engineering and I'm also a woman. I was like, I don't think it's going to be that good. So I was definitely scared. And I think that's one of the reasons that I chose USC in general, is just because when I came to visit the campus and when I talked to students, I could tell that they had a really solid and supportive community there. And I knew that that was something I wanted, regardless of the numbers, like what they're looking like. I just wanted a community that I felt could support me and like wanted to see me succeed. And I definitely found that I could have that at USC.
If I'm being honest, I feel like I didn't even get the chance to like worry too much. By the time it was like school was coming around, VSI was starting, so like already I felt supported, which I think was just like applies to a lot of the experience. Like there's so many resources and just like people that want to support you that whenever like I've felt a little out of place, just naturally I feel like I'll get support that's coming in. So I really again haven't really felt like I've gotten the chance to feel too uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's almost like there's almost like too many resources, and they constantly like email you and throw them at you, which is I guess better than nothing because but you always have someone to reach out to or something that you can like get access to if you're not feeling supported. So yeah, like Jevon said, you're not uncomfortable for a long time.
Yeah, I'd say similar. Like, I know like coming into the classes, like, like the state of like diversity affairs at USC has definitely gotten better since I came here. 2019 was an interesting time. It was, but like, I was a little concerned. I was like, all right, like it's a new experience. Like, okay, yes, I'm glad to be an engineer, but there's like not that many people in my mechanical engineering class who are like Black. Like, this is very weird. It's like three of us. And like, luckily that's not the case anymore. Cause like, I see something like Nesby, it just has like so many members now. It's like 60 plus members like on any given like Monday. So there's a lot of people now across the variety of majors. That's not even people who come. That's just people who come. Like there's so many more people who would go there. But I guess my main concern was like fitting in like socially. And honestly, I really didn't have that much of an issue with it. I think that coming to the class, like I was able to find study groups and work with people, some of which were Black, some of which were not Black, from a variety of backgrounds, and it never really hindered me. So I feel like there's a lot of resources to help you get along there. But also as like the social scene was concerned, I really didn't have that much of an issue like fitting in. Like I have friends from a variety of backgrounds and, friends from other engineering clubs and other clubs in general. And it didn't really matter, like my background. So I feel like that kind of made me feel a little better. So I have a question that's been upvoted in the chat. Thank you guys for using the upvote feature. It's from Cameron. Shout out to the best name ever, Cameron Brown, CV. So he asked a question about Black faculty member. Are there Black faculty members who can uplift and relate to students? I have an answer to this. If you guys don't have an answer, I'm more than happy to share, but I want to open it up to you guys first.
I think you should start.
Sure. Yeah. So if we're being completely frank, I personally, there's like one class that like is notoriously known for having a great Black faculty. It's literally a class called Black Social Movements in the U.S. It's like it's a general education class that I'm waiting to take. And like besides that, I think there's like a handful of classes for the engineering student, like places that are like taught by Black faculty. I'm not sure of all of them off the top of my head, just because there's no like directory for Black faculty. But I'd say that, if you like going around and like seeing Black faculty members, like, I think that there certainly is a different level of like understanding when it comes to it. Like I know, like if I'm in there, like the former, there's like the dean for like diversity operations. Her name was Dean Brandy Jones. I know like she would be in the Center for Engineering Diversity, like even like she's a prominent Black faculty member, like the first of her position at USC, and like she was just such a great resource just to talk to. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm like coming here to find something. It's like, hey, kind of just talk to you about what's been going on. And she kind of had like open door, like just able to talk to her. She worked really hand in hand with the Viterbi Summer Institute, and I think that like she was someone who I can definitely say was like willing, ready to uplift you and just kind of talk to you about things and kind of educate you about, what's going on here. If you have an issue or a question and you need some uplift, you need some, hey, like I get where you're coming from, can you help me like solve this issue? She's definitely one of those people. And I can say that in just going around and seeing like a variety of Black, faculty members who are in a variety of positions at the university, they've been like really nothing but welcoming to me. I found someone who was a part of my same fraternity just by wearing some of my fraternity paraphernalia. And like she took me some of my fraternity brothers out to the like university club, this like really swanky lunch place, and just like gave us his business card and said, if you need any resources or contacts with like the university at large, feel free to reach out. So I definitely had good experience with Black faculty members, to say the least.
I feel like the unfortunate answer to this question is that there's not that many in engineering. That class that Cameron mentioned specifically, I am in this semester, the Black Social Movements. Great professor. And like, I think, again, sort of the piece is that a lot of the Black faculty is teaching like Black related courses. But if you get a chance to take those courses, they always end up being pretty great. That's what I can add to it.
Yeah. And like, for example, like this year, I'm actually kind of mad I like switched my schedule around to take it, but one of my classes was technology entrepreneurship. It's like one of those like joint USC, like Viterbi and Marshall classes. And it's taught by a Black faculty member. She's like an adjunct professor. She sits on like the board of executives for some tech company. Like I have no idea who it was. I like read the bio very shortly, but she's another professor. Like she's through the business school. So sometimes it may be through like other electives that you take through other schools. But Jevon's kind of right. The faculty at like USC, Viterbi specifically, isn't that strong with the Black community, but they do. And there's other like ways to get in contact and see Black faculty, and they certainly relate. I know like there's a Black faculty member who teaches the Engineering Freshman Academy. He's like seated at the School of or the School of Engineering and the School of Education. So he's another great member, and like he's a great teacher as well, because like his entire thing is teacher. It's like to be a teacher. So it's very cool there. Awesome. Victoria, Kaleigh, anything else? Or I think we kind of got it.
Yeah, you got it.
You said what I was going to say.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's see. Here's an interesting question about like the Black community. This is from Barham. I'm sorry, I didn't want to butcher your name. They ask about, do you think the Black community in engineering is broad? I guess in terms of like, like what have you seen from like the experience, like talking to, people in the Black community? Like, would you say like there's a like, good amount of diversity, or they're just all like CS heads, like, who like been coding since they were 12? Like, what do you guys think about it?
I think that it's pretty broad. Like, I think you can find several Black students in every major. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's definitely something that I haven't thought about. I will say, like, there's definitely more people in some majors than others. See, lots of people have switched to CS on this panel. They didn't start out in CS, but I would definitely say like that's one of the main ones, and then like it kind of spreads out from there. But like also like just in terms of personality, like in terms of story, I would definitely say that there's a lot of diversity from like locations, like where people grew up, how they grew up at USC, just in general. Like a lot of the people, I think half of us aren't from California on this panel. So I would definitely say like you're going to meet a lot of people with different life experiences in the Black community. It's not like everyone's the same exact person from the same place.
Awesome. I think Jevon might be having a bit of technical difficulties, but I'm sure he has some insights to say about it. So let's see, Jevon, are you still with us? Okay, I think he's not coming on the line. So we're gonna keep it moving. Hopefully Jevon can get it connected. Trust me, technical issues happen a lot more frequently than you imagine. One live chat, just like the power went out for all of Los Angeles for like 5 minutes. And we were all confused. This is like fall, my junior year. We were just very confused. So definitely happens sometimes, like just sometimes it just happens like randomly. There's one question in the chat by Tamara. And so she asks, like, it's a little bit of a long question, but just the goal is just like, were you intimidated by applying to USC? She said the acceptance rate's low and the average SAT score is high compared to other schools. So were you intimidated? And what advice do you have for students who may feel attending USC is almost an impossible dream?
Yeah, I was intimidated. I think I was even more intimidated because it was like my number one, like I really wanted to go here. So it was like, I don't know, it's a lot of pressure. But I think I got lucky because I didn't have to take the SAT because I applied like during COVID. So like that really didn't matter. But the biggest thing is to be authentic, be true to yourself when you apply, like really show your personality in your writing, because they want to pick you, like they want to know who you are, they want to know your story. So just like express yourself, and show that you're like passionate and interested in coming to USC, and really have like a good reason for like why USC and everything, because that's going to be really reflective. So yeah, I was intimidated. But I think I did a good job of like showcasing like who I am in my writing and in my application. So it worked out.
Yeah, I would just say like applying to college in general is very intimidating. It's like a very scary process. And for me, like I don't know if this is a necessary, a technically like helpful mindset for you, but I was just like at the end of the day, like they're either gonna choose me or they're not gonna choose me. Like I could do my best to represent myself on the application, like make sure that I'm truthful to myself. But like at the end of the day, like if I do all that and like I don't get in, like I tried my best. And I think like it's definitely like a scary mindset to have, just that like you're like a bunch of good people apply and like whatever happens, happens. But it is true. And I think definitely when you kind of let go, like if you like, I tried my best and like that's as good as I can get. Like it's comfort, it was comforting to me to just be like, like whatever happens, happens. I tried my best. Yeah.
Okay, so Jevon's back with us. His audio is not working though. That's maybe the thing. I see that if you're watching this at a later date on the podcast, this is an exasperated face by Jevon right here. He's giving me the one signal. So in the meantime, I'll answer the question, and then hopefully, my long-wittedness will give him enough chance to reconnect.
Is it good now?
Oh,
it is. Wow, that was actually fast. What did you do?
It's the CS in me that was like I had to fix stuff.
He was back there like.
Okay. Well, the question intimidated. Okay, now what I was going to say was first apologize for the disconnection and the technical issues, and then go into I second what Victoria and Kaleigh said about mostly being authentic and making sure that when you're applying, you're talking about your story and not trying to like fake any interest in things or be someone that you aren't. Because not only will like you make your best work when you're just talking about the things that you've experienced and the things that that interest you, it's also just the fact that was made earlier about the fact that USC wants to admit you and see who you are, and then the fact that there are a bunch of other universities that will be a great opportunity for you. USC is an amazing time and has great resources, but other resources and other universities are also there to not get too attached to one place.
Yeah, I'd say for me, I definitely I try not to focus on the stats too much. One thing I will say that will ease part of your question is that USC Viterbi, and I think USC in general, is test optional for this coming year. So if you are a current senior and you are applying for admission for next fall, you'd have to submit the SAT. It doesn't impact you. Like the admissions office, I think they say like it doesn't matter. Like you can send it if you want to. You don't have to send it if you don't want to. Like they don't really care. It's like, unless you really, really want to send it, you have to. But otherwise, like, don't worry about it. I really don't think it impacts like you getting in or not. I really don't think so either. But I think that certainly takes the pressure off of it. But yeah, I'll agree like what a lot has said here. Like being your authentic self is like, I don't really see there's any way like cheat code or getting around it. There's like, we have an entire podcast. Like I think like the director of admission like was talking about how to apply for Viterbi. Like we'll link that towards the end so you can get some more information like from the people who read the applications about how to apply. But I'll just say in general, like it can be intimidating if you look at it from the sense of like, oh, I have to, stand out and be all these other people. But I feel like the application is just really to get to know you. Like there are people reading your essays and like they have compassion, they understand, and they're just trying to get to know you. And I found that in my application process, the schools that I got into were the schools that saw like my real unadulterated, like unfiltered self. It was the schools where I sat there and wondered like, oh, like what type of student am I like convincing them they are? I want to like, and I would say like, well, I want to show the school that I am this type of person. And like odds are that just really wasn't who I was. And I didn't get into that school. Or I went through like 5 rounds of essay reviews and like stayed up all over winter break trying to like edit these essays for, X Institute of Technology. And didn't work because I was just trying to be someone who I wasn't. And I feel like that's the main thing. And like you can, being intimidated by the questions, like it's natural just because like the school, the admission rate is low. There's a lot of great people who go here, but also like that doesn't discount the fact that like you're a great person too. And odds are if you just apply and let them know and talk about your interest and your passion, that's the best you can do. And like Victoria said, it's the, you're trying your best. It's not the end all be all, but it's just, one step of the process. So I feel like, just understanding that, the best thing you control about your application is just what you did in high school, letting your passion show through. And that's really the best you can do. And, you really can't expect to give yourself anything more. Not to mention like, we're like 17, 18, like it's not the end of the world, what we do. So, take a breather and it's all going to be okay. Let's see. there actually is a question. So this is gonna be interesting. I'm just gonna broaden a little bit. Have you ever experienced like any type of discrimination on USC's campus? Like, there's no, it's a loaded question, but I feel like as Black students, like, it is an important one that we should answer nonetheless. So if you have, feel free to talk about it as much or as little as you want to. This is, your space. But I think it is an important one.
I mean, the one thing that comes to mind for me has been like there's been a few times where I would like either be on a game day or like wearing some like USC related things, and I get the question of like, oh, like, are you an athlete? Or it'll be like a conversation will come up where it's like on scholarship, and it'll be like, oh, like, what sport do you play? And there's like that kind of microaggression stuff. I feel like that would happen anywhere, unfortunately, and it's nothing that like cuts too deep. But I guess I'm also glad that that's all that has happened to me of memory. Yeah.
Yes, same here.
People call me the wrong name sometimes. It's definitely weird, but it's not like haunting my dreams at night. It happened to me in high school as well, so I think I got used to it. But it's just like they feel pretty bad afterwards after I told them that's not me. But yeah, a lot of that, but it's not that bad.
Silver lining is I haven't seen much that's overt. I've had like, as I think about it, I've had probably like one or two experiences of like, oh, like, can I touch your hair? Like, how, whatever, blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay. Weird.
Yeah, or like, how'd you get your hair like that? And I'm like,
oh my goodness, that happens so much. Like, I don't know, like when you wash your hair, like shrinkage happens, or like it just comes down. So people are like, did you get a haircut? Like the most egregious thing I've had is like I've been at a football game and like some girl who was just like not in her right frame of mind, just to put it like that, just like reached over and just like nabbed like a big chunk of my hair and just start like squishing. I was like, it's so like that's like the most egregious thing that happened. That was like 3 years ago. But yeah, kind of like
it's always on the wash day. Like you hit the, like, yeah. Every time I wash my hair, like today, I stayed inside. I knew I wasn't gonna get anything, but like it's dangerous.
Yeah, like what I'll have to do sometimes if I'm like in a bind, like I'll have to like do the wash and go at night and like wrap it in a do-rag and just like let it dry overnight. It's not as good as like a normal wash day, like air drying, but like it gets the job done.
This all makes it sound much worse than it is. This is exaggerated for the intents of telling the story here.
Yes. Also, like this is like the only thing that's happened to me over the course of like 3 years. And like many a football game, many a tailgate, many a going to class, and like many a wash day, and it happened like 3 times over the course of 3 years. So I feel like one question a year is actually not that bad. But like Jevon said, I feel like it's definitely like we're definitely lucky in the sense that like these are like the only things we really have to face. Like it could be certainly like so much worse with like the things people could say or like do or assume. Like the fact that just like microaggressions are still, like not the best nonetheless. And there's like, they're trying to improve it. But, for it to be just things like that and nothing like more overt, I definitely am like grateful it's nothing too crazy.
One thing I'll add is that like if there's stuff that comes up at the university level or just like with between students, like the university responses that I've seen, as well as like the responses that the Black community and like BSA will put together have been like one, very effective, but also like just the right things to say in those moments. So like if there has been stuff that's come up, I've seen good responses, though rare. I've like how stuff has been dealt with.
Yeah, I think plus like after the the whole the protest over summer 2020, that really big thing, like we got like literally like 5 times the amount of space for the Center for Black Culture and Student Affairs as a result, and whatnot. So that's like I guess the silver lining. Like it's like huge now. Like we hold like you can hold a lot of meetings in there. And plus, I think Viterbi had like a pretty good like office. Like Viterbi definitely has like one of the better like more robust offices for like providing resources. Like there is no center for business, not like to crap on them, but like no center for business or diversity or center for acting diversity or center for like I don't know what's the like design diversity. Like there's only like it's literally the only one, and like we have like a lot of programs I feel like that are kind of here to help us. So I don't know. I feel like there's definitely a lot more space to get help here than like most other places. So it definitely is better off than a lot. Yeah, actually, the follow-up questions to that, like what type of services like would they provide? I guess it's like to the university or CED in general.
It's services from what, like the CED you said?
Yeah, I guess like CED or like students, I guess like if you're dealing with something like how would they go about it and whatnot, or like if you're dealing with like an issue.
Yeah. I don't quite know. I think of the CED mostly as like a
Oh, oh,
okay, yeah,
that
CBCS.
is the processes. I mean the Black Cultural Affairs Center thing. Yeah. So like what type of services do they provide? Anyone want to talk about like what type of
I
services
believe. Oh, sorry.
No, I just
I
as
believe they
clarifying.
have like staff on site. I remember I just went to an event and they were speaking there. I was like, oh, they have staff like for mental health things. And then I know they have like general big events. Like I know there's an event coming up. I think it's like this week or something, where it's like a summit, where it's like an entire day devoted to like Black womanhood, creating sisterhood, and then also like mental health resources. I forgot exactly what it's called. I think it's like Sisters in Solidarity or something. But they have like big events like that, and then they also have staff.
Yeah, there's like a lot of resources. So like she mentioned like the staff there. There's a full like center director, and there's another one who's like I forget his title, maybe like associate director or something, but like they're there and they're typically busy like trying to make sure there's like resources for students, but like they'll provide that space. Like there's for example, there's a series going on. There's like $100,000 grant we received from some company, and there's a series called Black Health as well. And so like it's a series of events that happen like every week, every other week in the center in the Black Student Center. That's my nickname for it because the name is long and CBCSA has a lot of acronyms. Then the Black Student Center, there's a lot of like that's going on and just a variety of other cultural events going on there. Like I got a free book that was like the 50-day guide to like mental health as a Black man going on in there. Beyond that, like I think that just having that space is like pretty crucial. I mean, you can always like talk to the people there. Additionally, like organizations such as like SIS and BBB, so Sisters in Solidarity. It's essentially like a collective on campus for Black women, femme identifying and non-binary and identifying students kind of have a safe space. And then there's BBB, which is Brothers Breaking Bread, which is like barriers, regrets, like attitudes, egos, and like destructive masculinity. It's essentially a group to like for like these different like groups to kind of come together and like provide that safe space there, and that's typically hosted at either like the First Gen Student Center or the Black Student Center, and they're really great ways just to like find that community. And so a lot of times like there are a lot of concrete resources I can't name, and we can actually like show you about in their like on their website and whatnot, but just a lot of like more so like providing that space to talk to people, and then maybe you talk about it to someone and that person knows. So that's definitely kind of like a lot of the form that the resources happen at USC.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like just like knowing that you can go in there and like there will be someone there that you can speak to is like really, really helpful and reassuring.
Ditto that. Yeah, so it looks like we're kind of coming towards the end of our time. So I do want to ask one last question. It's very corny, but I just want to know you guys, like, why did you pick USC? And since some of you guys, we have some sophomores, juniors, and seniors here, why did you decide to stay at USC?
Am I allowed to answer the why I came here, Cameron?
No, Jevon, you're not. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, no, I think part of my answer for why I came is related to my major in the terms of like there weren't many places that offer computer science and business in the, I'll say, quote unquote, easy way that Viterbi does. In fact, that like it's a program. But I had the chance to come to campus, I don't know, maybe my junior year of high school, and take a tour and got a chance to meet some students. And while I was there, I could already kind of see the Black community and how connected they were. My mom and I were lost at a parking lot, like looking for a parking lot, and just happened to stumble across the director of the CBCSA at the time, who,
oh my goodness,
yeah, who was just like, yeah, just like, hey, this is where the parking lot is at. Like, and she seemed in a rush, and she's like, oh, I'm actually going to BSA right now. Like, gave us this whole little spiel and just wanted to help us out. That same time I got the chance to meet one of the like current NESB members who was telling me that I think like the year before they won National Chapter of the Year, either like at some point recently, which is a huge deal. So I can already tell that like if I were to come to campus, I would like have a community to join into inside engineering, just the Black community at SC. And from what I saw, it was a community that I wanted to be a part of, which on top of the academic stuff, on top of my major, and the resources that I saw, that was definitely a big aspect of what pushed me to decide.
Yeah, I have a very similar story to Jevon. Like I said earlier, I'm from Inglewood. And I'm like, this is like 6 miles away. And I was like, I'm not going to USC. I'm leaving Los Angeles. Like they will never see me ever again. But I came here for an admissions event that we have in November called Explore. And I got to talk to they have like club fair, and I got to talk to the National Society of Black Engineers there. And they were like so welcoming to me. I was like a little scared high schooler. And they like came over there, talked to me, asked me questions, and just told me so much about their chapter. And I could see like from there, like in that conversation, that they were really like kind, welcoming, supportive, but also really passionate about USC and the community that they built at NESB. And like I mentioned earlier, I really wanted to go to a place where I would have like the supportive community. And I saw there that USC could be that place for me. And why I stayed here, I think just because I found that supportive community, and I found people that want to, you know, invest in me. Like I said earlier, in my introduction, I'm on like the regional executive board for the National Society of Black Engineers. And that was only something that I knew about because an older upperclassman NESB member was like, oh, you're going to be on the regional executive board with me next year. I was like, oh, okay. And now I'm like chair of the board. So I definitely think like people have looked out for me and like thought of opportunities for me and pushed me. And that's really what's kept me here and kept me happy here.
Yeah, for me, it was, yeah, I was like very against going to school in LA. I was like, it's too big, it's too much. Because I come from like a sort of a small like agricultural city, so I was like, the big city, it's too much. Yet here I am. But I remember like coming to like a USC event, like a tour, and just like immediately falling in love with the campus because of the students, because I got to like meet and interact with the students. And it was like one of the only schools that had like astronautical engineering specifically, like not aerospace, but astronautical, because I knew that I was more interested in the space sector. And then like going to like the events like this, like I went to like quite a few live chats because I was still very unsure about everything. And like getting to see people talk and like meet the students before I came here was like really, really helpful because I got to hear about all their experiences and hear about why they love the school, and they all seem to really, really love the school. So I was like, well, if they all really love it, then I should go there too. So
Yeah, and for me, I think like the common thread we see with a lot of these things are the people that make USC. So I'll tell a very quick story because I know it's coming in an hour. But essentially, when I came to USC, like it was for the Explore USC event that Victoria was talking about. It was the interview for a scholarship, and I'm on the line like, wow, this is a whole lot of money on the line. Like I really need to get this because this will help me get to USC. And I was nervous wreck. I was in a 3-piece suit, just like sweating. It's like hot, like 90 degrees in February. I'm like, what kind of crazy place is this? And I'm sitting in the dining hall. I'm like a nervous wreck. It's like 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. And these 3 kids approached me and I'm like, oh Lord, what's gonna happen? And these 3 kids like, hey, are you like here for a scholarship? And I'm like, how do they know? Like, are they gonna kick me out? Like, yes. And like, mind you, these are not Black students. They're like very much majority students, you know, this PWI students, like this is what it is. And I was like, what's gonna happen? And they're like, oh yeah, like they asked me, what school are you in for? And I said Viterbi. And said, oh, we're all Viterbi. There was like mechanical, computer science, electrical to do there. And like they just sat down and started talking to me. They're like, oh, you know, you're here for the scholarship, or you're here for like, you know, oh, you're here on the interview. Like, where are you from? You know, are you like, you seem a little nervous? And they just started calming me down. They're like, hey, you got this. You already got in. So that's congrats, you know, like telling me to calm down, you know, get into the interview. And walking away is like, it's like good. It's not like, you know, 7-10 minute walk from the Village dining hall to where the engineering interview was. And I sat there and I was just like, wow, like these students, like they're not Black. They have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just some nervous like high schooler who's like 17 sitting in this dining hall, like with his suit on, trying to get his, you know, eat his food before his interview. And they came over and out of the kindness of the heart, they wanted to help me out and calm me down and like, you know, kind of reduce my nerves. And I think that kind of showed me what type of place this is, where people are passionate, they care about one another, they, you know, are willing to kind of go the little extra way to do it. And I've seen that through for the past 3 years. And that's certainly why I've stayed here. But with that, thank you guys for answering the questions. We're going to hop back into our slideshow and just provide a little bit more information about some resources, how to stay connected, and then we'll get you guys out of here. So Viterbi admission information sessions. If you would like to sign up for an information session with the Viterbi undergraduate admissions officers, these are the people who actually read your application. You're more than welcome to sign up on that link on the screen. It's viterbiadmission.usc.edu/events/# on campus. You can find sign up for a chat both in person and virtual, as well as you can actually email them questions at theadmin@usc.edu. Great resource to check out. Additionally, here are a variety of resources that we talked about right here. USC's Black Student Assembly, we talked about it. That's the Instagram there. You can keep up with us at Nesby_USC. You guys can understand right now, this is basically a Nesby love fest. We love Nesby. At USC_Viterbi_CED is the Instagram for the Center for Engineering Diversity. It's a great place that we talked about before, provide a different resource in this place for students on campus. And finally, USC's Black Alumni Association, which is at USCBAA. This is actually a really great resource because they provide a variety of programming as well as a scholarship grant opportunity for students who are at USC, get connected with Black alumni who are in the LA area in your major and provide a really good mentor atmosphere. So these are all great resource organizations to keep a lookout for. Next, here's our live chat calendar. So if you're interested in more live chats, we have more. On October 9th is our Latinx Student Engineering live chat. It's a great place to, if you're a Latino or Latinx identifying student, you can, in a similar form to in this one, hear from current Latinx students about their experience as Latinx students here at USC. And then on October 30th is our Viterbi Voices live chat, which is essentially everything, all people, all backgrounds, all majors, anything you think of. This is the live chat to do it there. If you want to register for these live chats and get information for that, or view any of our past live chats, we've had live chats about women in engineering, another general live chat, a live chat about meeting the majors. You can register at viterbiadmission.usc.edu/events/# live chats. If you want more information and reminders about these live chats, you can follow us on Instagram. We are at Viterbi Student. That's a great place to keep up with everything. Some more resources, check out the Viterbi student website. We are at Viterbi, or the website is viterbivoices.usc.edu. It's not an Instagram handle, it's a website. You can read blogs, find links to our podcasts, our Instagram handle, our Twitter, to all these other places. Really great information, just find content made by students for students. If you want to learn more about the academics and the research opportunities about USC Viterbi undergrad, you can go to viterbiundergrad.usc.edu. And finally, if you want to explore our campus, the USC admissions office, like the general admissions office, has a great place to explore our campus. You can take both an in-person and a virtual tour. You should look at campus. Campus is beautiful. I really enjoy doing it. So make sure to book a virtual in-person tour if you can. As a reminder, this year USC has an early action deadline. This deadline is November 1st. This deadline is the deadline to submit by if you would like to be considered for merit-based scholarships. These include full, half, and quarter tuition scholarships. No extra paperwork. You literally just submit your application by November 1st. Would highly recommend everyone do it. You never want to turn down free money. Apply by November 1st. And finally, stay connected with us. We are at Viterbi Student on all the socials. We have an Instagram, a YouTube channel where we tried some very, very spicy hot wings, a Twitter, and retweet from Jevon, and a TikTok. We do make TikToks. They're actually pretty funny. I think we had like 40,000 views in one time. I'm doing a shameless plug, but definitely check that out there. Also, we have a podcast. It's Viterbi Voices, the podcast. This is actually the #1 podcast in America if you search USC Viterbi. Great place to check it out. Sorry for my joke, it didn't land well, but definitely check out the podcast. It's like the 8th season, and there's like 200 questions episodes on it so far. And finally, if you have a question that wasn't answered, you just want to ask at a later date, email us at vstudent@usc.edu. Great place. You get it answered from a student just like us. And with that, I want to thank you guys for tuning into the live chat. Stay safe. Have a great week whenever you're listening to this. Thank you. Have a good evening. And as always, bye on.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I just want to thank everyone who took part in making this conversation happen. I really enjoyed listening to it, and I hope you all did as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to check out more of these types of conversations on the Viterbi Student YouTube account. That's youtube.com/Viterbi Student. Lots of cool things in there, including other live chats with other topics and other student groups. Have a great one. We'll see you next week with another episode of Viterbi Voices.